Thank you. I am honored to be here today, and while I'm proud to be a professional mental health advocate, and while I'm proud to be here today as a professional mental health advocate, it is my unique perspective as a parent I hope will not only resonate with you, but also inspire you to lift your voices and be heard as well. My daughter Becca was a typical baby in many ways, and extraordinary in others. As a young child, she was happy, playful, and content. Becca attended an outstanding Montessori preschool program which offered individual hands-on learning, and she thrived. She was a creative child and showed interest in performing arts, enjoying both ballet and the theater. Becca's mental health began to deteriorate around age 7, when her behavior could no longer be explained as a temper tantrum. My sweet, creative child began to shut down emotionally and behave aggressively. She was not responsive to direction and had no impulse control. She was riddled with anxiety, and she had fits of uncontrollable crying. She became physically aggressive and would erupt into violent fits of rage. Becca had kicked me, pulled my hair, and tried to jump out of the car during a short drive home. I became an expert at patching drywall, even though I couldn't seem to patch up my own child. By 2nd grade, I was on a first-name basis with every school nurse, as she became a frequent flyer in their nurse's office with belly aches. Becca worked hard to keep it together in school. Unfortunately, she was unable to do the same at home, which was, of course, her safe space. It was clear that Becca needed help. We met with more doctors than I can count and explored just as many treatment options. We dropped all extracurricular activities to focus on her mental health treatment. When my baby was 9, she wanted to die. I was terrified and locked up all the knives in our kitchen. I was a single mother with an ex-husband who was an ineffective and often absent co-parent. Managing my daughter's mental illness during these early years did not allow much time for a career. I struggled financially, taking part-time jobs to pay the mortgage, but prioritized educating myself about mental illness so I can help my daughter. Finding emotional support was challenging, and I began to isolate myself from those who didn't understand my circumstance. I found 2 friends who understood, and during my daughter's first hospitalization at 9 years old, I attended my first family support group with them. In this group, I found my people. I was no longer alone, and I was in a safe space to release my own emotions and learn from other parents. I began to advocate for my child based on newfound knowledge about mental illness. I requested a full educational evaluation and ultimately fought for her to receive the appropriate and much-needed education, supports, and services. I began to feel empowered and became involved with my local SEPTA and began assisting others in preparing for their own child's CSE meeting. I wanted to do more to help others and find a purpose So I became a family peer advocate with Family and Children's Association. For the last 7 years, I have worked for various programs supporting children, families, and adults with mental health and substance use disorders. It has been a privilege and an honor. Over the years, Becca has been enrolled in various SPOA programs. The summer before 8th grade, she had a lengthy hospitalization followed by an intensive partial hospitalization. Becca became increasingly violent, and on several occasions, I needed to call the crisis number. And more often than not, there was no one available to speak with me or with the police officers who ultimately came to help. It was clear that Becca needed more support, and I did my best to advocate on her behalf. She was enrolled in HCBS and approved for all services. Sadly, she only received IIH and family support. They simply did not have the staff available. I was deeply disappointed. I was a family peer advocate at the time, and I was working the very program that failed my own daughter. I had witnessed the successful discharges and step-downs that resulted when the proper services were in place, and I knew the potential for the program to work. Sadly, Rebecca would not be one of those successful cases. In June of 2018, I shared the lack of support my daughter was receiving at a regional planning committee meeting, and by the next morning, all services were in place. Unfortunately, by then, it was too late. She needed more care than could be provided at home, and based on professional recommendations, I made the excruciatingly painful decision to send her to Harmony Heights, a therapeutic residential school where my daughter spent 3 years living away from home. The program that was designed to keep children like Becca out of the hospital and in their own home with their family had failed her. I often think about that heartbreaking time and wonder about all the other kids not receiving services and the parents who didn't have the knowledge or expertise I had to help their children. No parent should have to lose their child in order to help them. I often think about what would have happened if there had been properly trained and available staff to help my daughter. Early intervention could have made a difference, but the programs that have helped were grossly underfunded and understaffed. As a professional, let me give you a very personal example. I loved being a family peer advocate, but I struggled financially. As a single mom making $18.24 per hour part-time was not enough. My quest for financial independence forced me to leave a job I loved to accept a full-time role as a case manager with an hourly rate at $19.75 an hour. This was still not a living wage, but at least it was full-time. Policymakers, if we want to lower staff turnover, improve outcomes for our children, and reduce the need for residential treatment, we must find a way to pay behavioral health workers a living wage. Hope happens at Harmony was a phrase heard often at my daughter's residential school. And while there was nothing more difficult for me as a mother than to send my child away, the program saved her life, and mine as well. They supported the whole family. The 3 years she spent as a residential student allowed me to take a full-time job and continue growing my career. It also gave me time to focus on and properly parent my younger daughter. Becca made friends and learned how to interact with people. Harmony kept my daughter safe, taught her how to manage her mental health, and while I would have preferred to see Becca thrive at home with our family, with the appropriate support, I am forever grateful to my district and Harmony Heights. I'm happy to share that Becca is now 18 years old and graduated with Regents Diploma. She is living back at home while she explores her interest and plans to attend community college next semester.
Yeah.
She is alive and healthy and learning to live as an adult with a serious mental health disorder. It has been a long journey, but I have real hope that my daughter will be able to live an independent and fully functional life as an adult. Things can get better and goals can be achieved. For those of you who are parents, please know you are not alone. With knowledge and support, you can learn to advocate for your children. And you don't need to become a professional advocate to learn more about your child's condition, their rights, and the treatments available. If you don't know where to start, there are fantastic nonprofits out there that can help you find the resources you need to learn and grow. Some of them are here today. To those of you who are policymakers or mental health professionals, please know the proper care and services matter. And remember that parents need support to properly find the help their children need. I still have hope for anyone who struggles with the mental health. And I believe that we can improve outcomes for so many children who struggle if we work together as a community. Thank you for listening. It has been a pleasure